Great job. Good morning, everyone. Everyone else feel like there's landslides in your life? It's December 1st. How's your Christmas shopping going? It's that time of year already. I can't believe it. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Trevor. I'm part of the teaching team here. And I'm excited about Christmas. I hope you are too. I hope there's some time to do that. And you know what? We couldn't pick a better theme at Christmas than our spiritual ninja theme. Doesn't that sound like a real Christmas theme? Spiritual ninja time for Christmas? I think it's going to help, though, just as a reminder of what we consider a spiritual ninja. There's someone who can give themselves again and again and again and put themselves out there in situations, really being there for other people. And I don't know about you, but at this time of year, there's a lot of chance to interact with other people. Some of them that we're supposed to really love. So this is why we're doing this series and why I think it's a really good time for this series. I want to start with a story, but I'm going to ask you to use your imagination a little bit. Jeff told this story 3 weeks ago when he started this series, and it really stuck with me. It was about a husband who'd built up a business from a mom and pop to a Canadian leader. Can I ask you for a second? Can you imagine that you're running your own business? It starts here in Calgary. What business are you running? And it spreads across the whole city, and then to Alberta, and then nationally over the years. You put the effort into it, but you love it. How proud are you when after decades of doing this, you're actually voted as one of the top employers in Canada? My goodness, that feels good. But anyone who's worked, forget about build a business, knows sometimes there's some trade-offs. So your young family, obviously you probably miss a few school plays, maybe some hockey games. The significant other in your life, maybe there's some delayed anniversaries, or maybe anniversaries that just get forgotten about. Because why this story stuck with me is the husband's coming home, another day late at work, and the wife's saying, hey, we need to talk. And he's ready to go up to his office. He's like, no, I'm not actually home. I'm just going to go work from the home office. And she says something. She says, I need you to focus. Oh. Sits him down at the kitchen island and says, I'm filing for divorce, and I'm taking the kids. Wow, how does that business feel that we all just built? I don't think we built that business so that we could be alone. And Jeff shared, that guy had built that for his family. And suddenly they were walking out of that home. How did I get here? Have you been in a relationship where you think everything's going good, or at least okay, and then someone says, it's over? How did I get here? Maybe all of a sudden you're trying to teach your child something, and you realize your voice has gotten heated, and all of a sudden they're in tears. And you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to happen. It's Christmas time, and maybe you've got a favorite outfit that you're going to wear in a couple weeks. Except when you go to the closet to put it on, the buttons don't seem to fit. You're thinking, oh, how many cookies have I already had this Christmas season? How did I get here? Maybe we can relate to this. Your credit card statement arrives after Christmas. How did I get here? What comes to mind, though, when I share those stories and I ask you sincerely, like, have you had a moment where you just catch yourself and I'm like, what's going on? This isn't me. How did I get here? I think Christmas is a really good time to talk about this because sometimes it's not maybe one moment. I was talking to someone and they were hosting Christmas for the 5th time in a row and they were in charge of the whole dinner for 18 people. Anyone ever done that? Like, that is a boatload of work. And what struck this person is, she said, last Christmas, the only thing I talked to people about was, how's the turkey? Do you have enough gravy? Oh, how's the heat in the house? She said, I realized as I'm cleaning up the day after this, I didn't even talk to my brother. I don't know how my niece and nephew are doing who were there. It was so much about the hosting, I just got overwhelmed. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to visit with people. When you catch yourself, Jeff's story, husband always at work, yeah, he's got a successful business. But it's no surprise that all his energy is going there and he doesn't have a successful family. And yet that was what he wanted. This is our great spiritual model. It's absolutely not perfect. Oh, Esmond, we got my great spiritual model. Aha! And it's just that, it's a model. But why do we talk about it so much? Because I think it's really helpful it's been helpful for me to envision kind of what a spiritual journey looks like. And as a person, then to for ourselves, then to other people in our life, then up the model. And it feels like, if you're like me, you always want to get to the top, right? So let's get to the we, right? Let's get to the we. That's where it's all going on, where we're taking water to our world. But it's not what I want to talk about today. Today I want to talk about I. Today I want to talk about us and I. Getting to the I in this model, I think, is incredibly hard work. Have you thought about, what do you need to support yourself in your life? And sometimes we can even do our best to quiet that. Or maybe we haven't thought about, what do I need for a long time? And you might think, don't spiritual ninjas just ignore the I and just give of themselves? We call that martyrdom, and that's popular maybe other places, but that's not what we're asking you to do here. And I think at times we do get questions like, is it even Christian to talk about the I? If you grew up in traditional church or have some exposure, you're like, nope, it's always about everybody else. The I, that's kind of wrong. What if I told you there was a story in Jesus' own words that absolutely said the I is the most important thing? It's a great story. Jesus is visiting two sisters, end of a long trip, and he's been invited to their home. And he's like, great, that's awesome. One of the sisters, though, is doing all the cooking. Think that 18 people Christmas dinner thing. And the other sister is just sitting there visiting with Jesus. Now, we don't have to imagine that the one doing the cooking is getting angry, because at some point in the story, she actually comes out and she said, listen, Jesus, don't you care that my sister has abandoned the kitchen to me? Tell her to lend me a hand. That's Jesus. So he usually doesn't do what people expect. And so he certainly doesn't tell the other sister to get up and go help. He doesn't even get up to help. And I know she was expecting something. But he says to her, sister, you're so upset over all these little details. There's only really one thing to be concerned about. And your sister's discovered it. And I won't take that away from her. Just think about that. Jesus is saying what she wants is really important. And he's defending that. My reading of this piece is he's defending the I. I want you to keep that in mind today. How did I get here, those shocking moments? Because I believe if we get to the I think we can have less moments like that in our life. Okay, it's Christmas, and I got to tell you the ironic part of this challenge about getting to the I. And just take a look around. I'll tell you who the culprits are. Other people. What? They tend to get very loud. They tend to distract us. Last week, my wife says, what would you like for dinner? I said, I'm okay. She said, what about spaghetti? I said, great. I'll do the sauce, you do the pasta. Hey, so are you hungry right now? No. Come down in about an hour. Go up, have a little read, have a little nap. This is great. I come down, and the rice cooker's on the kitchen counter going. I'm like, well, you typically don't have rice with spaghetti. It's fish. What the heck? No, what's going on here? So it didn't take me long to know we're not having spaghetti, and also I wasn't involved with dinner all of a sudden. I don't know how these two things happen. But here's the funny thing. I said to my wife, didn't you say you want spaghetti? Mm-hmm. I said, what changed? Well, your son didn't want spaghetti. Oh. To my wife, my son's voice had suddenly got so loud that of course we're not having spaghetti. My wife's voice had quieted. Her eye had gotten so silent that it wasn't even an option. It had kind of disappeared. Other people. If my son was still at university in residence, we would have been having spaghetti that night. Because while I was neutral about spaghetti, I was not neutral about rice and fish. I wanted spaghetti. But my voice was not there. Can I ask, does that sound like you? Are you someone whose eye gets really quiet? And maybe if it's not you, is it someone that you know? I'll give you some hints. If you can tell what someone else is wanting faster than, oh, I know you'll probably want sushi tonight. Oh, I know what movie you'd like to go to. If that's you, and when people ask you, well, what would you like to do? And your default is, what would you like to do? You're a people pleaser. That's great. But we're not at your eye. Here's my wish for all of us, even if you've got a good eye. I'd like to take you to this magical desert island. There's nobody else here. And you get to decide what you want. I think for all of us, it would be a little bit of work, but if you're really other people oriented, which is lovely, this would be really hard. But especially as Christmas comes up, I think this work on that island is important. Because other people, they could have a tendency to distract us. I'm going to give you some strange permissions today. What you want is okay. Huh? If you want to see Wicked versus Gladiator 2, that's okay. But it doesn't always mean you're going to get your way. As we aspire to be spiritual ninjas, I want you to really think about, what do I want? And it's tough if you're a people pleaser. But I don't want you to find yourself in tears the day after Christmas thinking, I didn't talk to anyone. What do you need? We look at this model, and the healthy eye is in a really neat place. It supports the we. In order to get up there, you need to know, I need to know what I want. Because then you're not a martyr anymore. Then you're able to interact with the world. Then you're able to be yourself. Then you can bring other people with you. Yeah, we define the ninjas as the time way up in the we, but I can't see that you get to stay there. Imagine if you hate skiing and you always go skiing with your family. Well, at some point, if you don't break anything before this happens, you're just going to get tired and worn out and not feeling good. When you're hosting Christmas again and you're like, I just want to talk to some family this time. Could somebody else host? But what happens when your voice is really quiet? It was for my wife. Other people can forget about you, and not on purpose, not because they don't care. But when they ask you and you don't offer an opinion, and they have an opinion, you're going to end up someplace else. Do you ever say no to your boss? Your kids? Your children? They're not trying to take advantage of you. Your eye is just quiet. I'm going to reference Sensei James, spiritual ancestor James, and he had some wisdom on what is your true eye and why is it hard to find. Talked about other people, but James also said, let the person with less choice boast. Like flowers in the fields, those with too many choices will be scorched by heat and wither. It's the same for people with too many choices. In the midst of a busy life, they'll wither. Now, I picked that because it's pretty flowery. Doesn't that sound like one hand clapping? Like, let's wither in the middle of a busy life? It does. And it's pretty sensate. But the point is, when life is busy, and other people, and we've got choices, we did a whole message prior on like how many choices can overwhelm us, but it just makes it hard for us to hear our I. Go on Amazon and say, oh, what would I like? That's how hard it can be to find out what is your I, what is it going. I had one of these moments, not too far back either. A few years ago, I'm paging through my credit card statement. This isn't that long ago when they used to send them to you. Why am I paging through? Because I didn't believe the number on the front. It was atrocious. To the point that I don't know if you've ever done this, grabbed a calculator because I was sure there was a math error on this one. No, there was no math error, but this had shocked me, and it rocked me. I realized that month, it was hockey month, work was full out, and I just had forgotten pretty much everything and just said, okay, we just have to survive this month. Have you ever had a just have to survive month? Okay, that's all we have to do. And so I really lost touch with who I am. And I lost my eye. For me, the credit card's a big deal. In my regular life, I'm a financial planner. That's what I do. I am a cash flow zealot. My clients get upset with me sometimes when I ask them to track things again and again and again. And I had made a basic mistake and gotten shocked by a statement. And I really felt, how did I get here? So when James is saying, in the midst of a busy life, and when we get overwhelmed with busyness and people, we just make choices that aren't us. And I think it pulls us down the model. I wish that month that my credit card had been stolen. Oh, that wasn't me. No, I made every one of those purchases. That relationship didn't break that day at the kitchen island. It broke over years of neglect. The busyness of preparing a meal for Jesus had taken one of his sisters off the focus of saying, what might I want in this moment? More choices, more opportunity can easily take us out. And we forget what we actually want and who we are and who we'd like to be. I put this on the blurb, but let me give you a bit of advice from Sensei Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. Merry Christmas, everybody. But it's so true. At this season, we all have plans and intentions and things we want to do. And then people are asking for attention. And other things are taking our time. And it can be hard to remember, who am I? Who do I want to be? I'm not leaving you there. In preparation for this holiday season, are there strategies that spiritual ninjas can use to better manage this craziness? I'm so glad you asked. I can see your, yes. I'm going to give you two. And the reason I picked these two is because I think they're implementable and I think they're impactful. Like a tool, they're the right tools for the job. Just for a second, let your minds wander wherever it's going to go. Are you worried about what's coming up next? What do you have to do for the Christmas? Do I have to grab a thing from the tree? Heads, let them spin. Okay. I'm going to invite you, if you would, just to sit up a little bit. Push your feet just a little bit into the ground, not too hard. And we're going to just take 2 big breaths together. That's it. You ready? And we're going to fill our belly. So here we go. Big breath, belly breath. Hold for a moment and blow it through your mouth. One more. Big belly breath. Hold, blow out through your mouth. What's happened in your head? How does your body feel? Maybe you need a few more breaths. It's okay. But physiologically, we know a couple of deep belly breaths that are conscious. What does it do? All the stuff in the headspace gets pushed out. Other people are calling for your time, pushed out. Doesn't mean you can do it every single moment, but it really does something to say, oh, quiet the mind a little bit. And I think actually find that really quiet eye in the center. Work's asking me to work late. This is the third time this week. No, maybe not. It'd certainly be easier to use my credit card to pay for a meal than go home and cook. Maybe not. It just gives your body and your brain just a chance to catch up. And believe it or not, 2 breaths, you're a spiritual friggin' ninja. That's all it takes. Now, please do it with some subtlety, because my family actually recognizes when I'm starting to breathe now, and they're like, oh, what's going to happen next? But it's so universal and yet so powerful, and it's so easy to forget. Breath matters, and it can help you ground. The second strategy is one that I think is going to take a little bit more time. Jeff talked a couple weeks ago about bad emotions. None of us like to sit in bad feelings. I don't like to do it. When I got that credit card statement, the first thing I wanted to do, how do we never have this happen again? When the husband was at the island, his first response was, oh, how do I get you back? How can I keep this? I just want you to sit in those emotions. For me, that credit card, it was embarrassing, like really embarrassing, to me personally. For that person, for that husband, he was sad. Why am I asking you to sit in that feeling? I want you to hear if your eye's trying to give you a hint with that emotion. I know when life is busy, we just want to push through. We just want to persevere. We just want to get to the next thing. And yet these moments where you actually just sort of, what am I feeling? And not to dismiss your emotion. I think when we get here, it really allows us to say, okay, that's why I don't want to be here again. Okay. This is what my eye was trying to tell me. And it takes a little bit of time. I really, truly believe it's worth it. My favorite reminder in that exercise, it's my favorite one. I don't know if you like to think you're logical. We're emotional beings that use logic afterwards to justify decisions. We're emotional beings that use logic afterwards to justify decisions. So being in touch with who you are is really important, and it's valid. You have to feel it. You want to throw the model up for me, Esmond? To better manage distractions of choice and people, 2 simple strategies. A couple of breaths, and maybe for those things that really felt like you just got kind of run over and this isn't who I am, take some time to feel it afterwards. These are clearly eye tools. You're feeling it. You're the one who's creating and implementing this. You're the one who has to ground. And something really struck me, and it was impactful. Spiritual ninjas visit I a lot. Isn't the whole thing to get up to the we? But no, spiritual ninjas visit I a lot. They just don't stay there. They talk to other people about what they want, about what's important to them. Not necessarily with the goal of saying, well, now you will do what I said because I have figured this out. Sorry, guys. That'd be great. That's not how it works. But so that other people can say, oh, I could do that for you. Oh, I could help. It's my turn to host. That's important because that allows you to really build your capacity and then go out into the world and do more good. There's really only one thing worth being concerned about. That's what Jesus said. And I like that idea. I like it from James as well, where he's warning us the importance of staying focused, moving your choices to what's going to feed you in your eye. As I wrap up, I want you to leave this as important. This isn't selfish. Really knowing what you want is not selfish because it really goes to support your purpose. As I look at this series, our hope is really simple. We hope it moves you up. We hope that we're all more like spiritual ninjas this Christmas. And if we want to move up, we want your eye to be solid. In order to get to the we, in order to include the they, you have to do maintenance on the I. While life is busy, while other people are distracting you, you have to find that quiet person who's telling you what is it they want and find a way to voice them. May we be a community that creates and supports more spiritual ninjas. That's my hope today.